I'm sure by now you guys have heard the term poverty buttons. If you haven't, let me show you what those are. Here in my old rodeo, when you get a lower trim, you lose out on some of the buttons, but they still have spots for them for the higher option, higher trim levels. These covers basically allow the audio manufacturer to create one bezel or one switch panel for all the different trims and all the different options you could get in that vehicle. GM kind of did the similar thing here in the AT4s and some of the other trims. So here on my AT4, and I believe some other of the trims, they have this AUX button here. Typically poverty buttons don't have a label, they're just a cover, they're not functional, but as you can tell, this guy does something, right? So if you're like me, you might have picked up these ditch pod brackets off of Amazon. If you haven't, I'll put a link below and you guys go check them out. They were like almost 30 bucks. I think right now they're like 39 bucks, but during Black Friday they were super cheap. These lights are dual color. You guys see the white and the yellow. I'll probably end up putting these on the yellow for the purposes of this video. The problem with this switch is that it's only an on and off, so I can't switch between the modes with this switch. Well, with this light, not the knuckle pod bracket, but the light here, if you give it power and then turn it off and turn it back on again, it goes to the next mode. So I can use this switch to have literally 4 functions with this light. I'm sure that a lot of you guys only need that aux switch and won't need the full 6 or 8 or even 12 now switch panel that you can get from AUXbeam. Before we get the switch all hooked up, let's get these lights hooked up under the hood. Currently, I believe I'm the only one to install both the redline struts and the ditch brackets. The way I did that was I actually tapped and drilled a hole next to the hood mount, because these are nuts with studs into the hood here, and you need an extra hole to mount these guys. So far I've had them this way for not quite a month. Because of the software issues and glitches that we had recently, I've actually been in and out of here a couple times, and they're still holding up just fine. So it is my opinion that you can drill a hole and throw a little bolt in the corner of the ditch pod brackets and actually still run your redline tuning struts. Since I know I'll get a question about it, yes, that is a aftermarket light under the hood. I brought the wires down here and the plunger's right here, and it works just fine. Been a minute since we used the whiteboard, so let me show you guys in a diagram how to wire this, and then we'll do it functionally with the parts. Because the aux switch on the dash is a ground switch, we need to give power to both the 30 pin that powers the light and the coil, 85 and 86 of the coil, to make the relay work. So we're going to give power to both of these 2 pins, and we're going to send power to the light and then ground it out after that. Don't unsubscribe just yet. This is going to be kind of a temporary wiring thing. I don't want to put these lights on that aux switch. Ultimately, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I do want to put a lot of stuff through the AUXbeam switch, but this video is strictly for the purpose of showing you guys how to hook up that switch to a set of lights, not my wiring abilities. If you do feel the need to hit the dislike button, make sure you do it twice so that I'm doubly aware of your dislike for my wiring abilities. I got these relays that actually have a built-in fuse already on the relay itself, so you could literally self-tap this anywhere in the engine bay and have a fused power switch to, you know, turn on whatever you want to turn on. I'll tell you what though, it got windy and it got cold in the last 15-20 minutes, so I'll turn my bougie, there we go, well, bougie vest on. I'm not much of a vest person, but I kind of like having this thing as a heated vest. It's kind of cool. So I'm pulling a length of wire. It's more than long enough to reach over to the side, but right now I've got our power wire and I've got our trigger wire for the relay. Nothing's powered up right now, so don't worry about that. But we're going to separate these wires now. One is going to end up going in the cab and one is going to end up going to both of the lights.
This is pretty much the easiest way that I know to run lights. Basically, you run a single power wire to each of the lights and then immediately ground off of the other side of the light. This reduces the amount of wiring you run and reduces the amount of points that you could have issues with your wiring in the future.
Hope you guys don't leave because of my aggravated wire job here. Like I said, this is for me just a temporary thing to show you guys how to hook this up, and I kind of want these lights for a little bit. Sun finally came out. We're gonna drill a hole or poke a hole in this boot down here, but this wire is not going to be strong enough to do that. So we need to poke a hole in it and then get something that's strong enough so that we can pull the wire back through inside the truck. So figure something out right now. Hopefully this comes out really well. This boot here needs to be poked in about the 3 o'clock position or so, and we'll see why that is when we go to the inside. But right about the 3 o'clock position, as you're looking at it, this little guy needs to get a little tiny hole to fit our wire through. Let's get our seat moved back here. AAA liners, floor liner, out the way. It's about the last you guys are going to get of the gimbal here for a little bit, so you have to bear with me. We're going to take the floor sill off. I've actually broken mine. The welds finally failed, so don't worry about that. It actually still clips in just fine. The front kick panel needs to be kind of detached and then pulled backwards so you don't ruin the clips that are on here like I did the first time I got in here. Like I said, we're going to pull the back of this and then pull this forward. Like I said, I've busted mine off and then poorly plastic welded it back, so I got to fix that. But these clips break super easy, so like everything else plastic in this truck, so just be careful. Alright, don't mind the fuse tap right here because that's for my dash cam, with that video coming soon. This little blue wire right here is actually part of this, and it's got a little heat shrink on it, and that is the wire that we need to touch the white wire coming off of our relay to ground out through the switch. To make this easier on yourself, pull these 2 clips out and flip your kind of under dash liner down. There's our boot we're looking for, and now we need to make a little incision right around the 9 o'clock position. This rubber is quite a bit thicker than the one on the outside, so just be careful and go slow. Don't cut any wires. That'll be super expensive. I cut a hole here and that was too far out, so I cut a hole right there, and that's where you guys need to cut a hole because it's going to go straight out into the engine bay. I ended up having a air nozzle here that's straight and hollow, so I can actually poke this through, push the wire through this, and then pull the entire thing out here, and it should work in theory. So I'm going to poke this through, and I'll put you guys on the other side to see this come out the other side. There we go. Nice. Alright, that came right out the hole where I needed it to. So we'll shove our wire down the hole here until it comes out the other side, I guess. I'm feeding the white wire through, and you guys should see it come out. Just pull this guy back through the grommet, and we've got ourselves our wire. Now I'm going to strip this white wire back, and we're just going to get some butt connectors, some sort of inline crimp here, and attach these two, and I'll show you guys the relay in action. Alright, let's go get that relay hooked up now.
I ended up pulling all this white wire under the dash and wrapping it up nice and clean, and then ended up hooking up the blue and black wires to the positive terminal of the battery. We can do that because this relay that I got is fused by itself. These should turn on yellow. Let's go inside. Ready? I see them. How about that? Well, there you go. If you've got that aux button on your dash and you don't know how to make it work, now you do. Why don't you comment below and let me know what you guys want to hook that switch up to. Or is it going to be the ditch pods? Do you have a light bar? Maybe some rock lights? What are you guys going to hook up? Are you going to hook up the bed light? Kind of like I'm thinking about doing? Let me know in the comments what you guys want to do with that switch, or what you guys plan to do with that switch. With that, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Every single one of you guys watching these videos is motivation for me to make more, so I do appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching.